Alright, so a couple of days ago, the newest ArkhamVerse game was officially announced with a trailer and some gameplay to go along with it. Gotham Knights is set after the events of Arkham Knight, where Batman has either officially died or faked his death and has relayed a final message to his partners to take up the mantle. Apparently, this game will put you in the shoes as Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Hood to once again bring justice to Gotham City. I personally have some concerns about this game just by simply looking at the trailer and the gameplay, but I'm super optimistic that this will be a badass game. What we know now is that Gotham Knights is an open-world co-op game where two people online can fight side by side against villains such as Mr. Freeze and the Court of Owls. Combat seems to sort of look the same, but also has RPG elements like they show health bars and damage values, which I've seen some fans disapprove of. Traversal looks to be also further innovated on with the Bat Cycle, and Robin has a teleport ability. That's pretty much all we got a grasp of right now, but as I said before, I do have a couple of concerns. Understandably, it was time to make a change and shift the attention away from Batman and go towards the Bat family. I mean, he does have his own trilogy, and a lot of depth was put into it. What worries me the most, I think, is the tone of the game. The previous Arkham games were very gritty, and Knight went as far as to even get a mature rating. Gotham Knights looks very cartoony in style, and while I know this isn't a direct sequel to Arkham Knight, it would still nice to feel like there is some continuity between the two. Character models, as said before, look very cartoony, like especially Robin and Nightwing. Not a whole lot of detail seems to be put into anyone except for maybe Batgirl. The open world, however, looks promising, and it seems like for the first time ever we'll actually see some civilians in the environment, which is what fans have really wanted for a long time. Shifting over to combat, I don't want this game to become another Assassin's Creed clone when it comes to fighting enemies. What was so good about the Arkham games prior was the availability to let you roleplay as Batman with various gadgets and techniques, choosing whether to take enemies down silently and spread fear throughout them, or go guns a-blazing and perform combos while surrounded by thugs. I don't think this game's combat will be bad per se, but I don't think it'll be as good as the Arkham games just from simply looking at the gameplay. Damage values can only mean one thing: loot drops. Honestly, I'm not surprised by this as more and more games are giving into this type of progression. I'm not against it because in games like Shadow of War and God of War, it was done very well. And I mean, who wouldn't want to customize their own Batgirl or Red Hood, kinda like in Injustice 2? Even if you aren't super impressed with how their base look is, loot drops with different passives and appearances could be a great way to spice up the gameplay and always strive for better looking gear. But in all honesty, the cast of characters I think is pretty lackluster, especially there's 3 Robins and a Batgirl. I don't think I would want to play as anyone except for maybe Batgirl and Red Hood exclusively. That's just my personal preference, and it would have been so much better if instead of Robin we could play as Azrael, because in Knight, Robin and Oracle were officially married and were about to move on from the crime-fighting life after Batman's death, and Azrael is not only more interesting, but it was even set up in Arkham Knight, and it's in the comics as well. I feel like the cast overall is not very exciting, especially since we've played as Robin in both Arkham City and Knight, and we have played as the other Knights too, like Nightwing and Batgirl and Red Hood, but that was very brief and they were just little DLCs. But with all that being said, and my concerns aside, I'm optimistic for this game and I hope it does really well. The gameplay we saw is still in pre-alpha, and it was stressed many times that the game was still in development. WB Montreal, in the forefront of Gotham Knights development, gives me a lot of hope for its success considering they also made Arkham Origins back in the day. And in my personal opinion, even though Origins wasn't nearly as big or as successful as Knight or City, it did the franchise justice with a prequel setting showing us the prelude to Batman and Joker's rivalry with the introduction of Deathstroke. With Gotham Knights, it feels like everything is going to come full circle at last, as the franchise starts with the beginning of Batman. It is now focusing on the aftermath without Batman. And if this game doesn't really scratch that DC itch, we cannot forget that Rocksteady is also making a Suicide Squad-based game focusing around taking out the Justice League. And it's in the ArkhamVerse, which I think I will also be sharing my thoughts on very soon, because I'm looking forward to that game as well. But guys, this is going to conclude this video. I really hope that you guys liked what I talked about and appreciated my opinions on the matter. But, I mean, the game isn't out yet, and it's not going to come out for a while, and I am very optimistic about this game. And I really hope it does well. I mean, seeing the Bat Cycle and Batgirl, Red Hood, and seeing the Court of Owls in the trailer, and actually figuring out what the hell everybody's going to do after Batman, I am very excited, and I hope you guys are too. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I am Shadow Ninja, and you just watched a RageQuit video about the new Gotham Knights trailer and my speculations. Thank you all for watching again, and as always, I will see you on the next one.